All right, what's up, guys? This is NinjaDeathStrike back with Gun Monkey for part two of the Dragon Blade Dragon Blast set preview. Sorry, the first one got cut off, but I had technical difficulties and I lost the entire second half of it. So we're just gonna pick up right where we left off, and that's with Garchomp. So what do you think about it?
I think it's not a terrible card, but I don't like the fact that it's got a two different energy requirements, and fighting is really not seen outside of Terrakion at the moment. Neither's water. It's stage 2, I mean, it's very slow. However, doing that 100 damage can be pretty cool for 2 energy.
Yeah, I mean, obviously it's a stage two, which you'll hear a lot of, and I've already heard a lot of, so that pretty much makes it unplayable right there. But
Yeah,
going beyond that, I think it's one of the better dragon cards that we've seen, other than Rayquaza, obviously. It does have the double energy type thing, but at least you only need two. Like, there's no extra requirement. One for 60 with a really good secondary effect is great, and then 100 for two isn't bad, even though it'd be better if it was like consistent energy types.
yeah.
Yeah,
If
but
it just used fighting, make it a lot easier to fit
yeah,
into decks.
yeah. So yeah, cool card, but not very playable, unfortunately. And hey, we get to talk about slacking again.
So yeah, slacking the card that can't hit 90% of the format.
Yes.
That's pretty much the best way to describe it, I guess.
Yeah, his ability Sketchy reads if the defending Pokemon is a basic Pokemon, this Pokemon can attack, as in slacking, not the defending Pokemon. So he can't attack EXs. He can't attack Zekrom, he can't attack Reshiram, can't attack anything really. On top of that, stage 2, 4 retreat, weak to fighting, and he takes 4 energy to do 100 damage. So
His
pretty
attack's
awful.
kind of cool.
Yeah,
I guess for just 2 energy, they're both double colorless and you get a flip a coin if heads discard an energy, could be useful, but at the same time, it's useless,
yeah.
the whole card.
And like we mentioned before, if the ability was reversed, where basics couldn't attack him, he would be awesome. But
It'd be like the only way to play stage 2s.
yeah, he'd actually
Well,
be
then he'd
worth.
probably create an entire format based around him, because if you're trying to attack him with basics, you're gonna lose every time.
Yep.
But
Yeah.
once again, we're going on a tangent against with a card we
Yep.
just created. So
Yeah. So we'll let him rest in peace. Um, let's see. Oh, Bouffalant will be the next one. Colorless, 100 HP. What do you think about it?
I really, really like it a lot. It's got its ability Afro Guard, which is also a really cool name.
Yeah.
It's an Eviolite pretty much, which is cool. So you can stack that with the Eviolite, which means you'll be taking 40 less damage from attacks, which
Yep.
is really nice. And then its attack, you do 60 damage. The defending Pokemon is an EX. You do 60 more damage, which is really nice. For 3 colorless, you can do 120 to a lot of the most prominent cards at the moment.
Yep.
So I really like it. Doesn't have that high retreat cost that the current Buffalant has. It's only got 2, which is pretty manageable, especially with Sky Bridge. So I like it.
I think the other Buffalon only has 2 as well.
Does it?
I think. I'm pretty sure.
I was pretty sure I saw 1. I don't
But
know. Maybe I'm just
this
talking shit at the moment. But
this one is definitely better than that one anyhow.
yeah,
Really, that 120 for 3 against EXs is great, especially since Bouffalant's only giving up 1 prize. So, you can afford to exchange him. He's pretty easy to power up. Yeah,
definitely will fit into those Celebi decks. And if it
Yep.
turns into a Mewtwo War, you drop the Buffalant and can one-hit KO a lot of pokes, even if they aren't if they've taken damage previously. So
yeah. If you can get some prior damage, it'll take him out pretty good. And I mean, almost everything 2-hit KOs at this point, so that's probably acceptable. With the
yeah,
exception of just Mewtwo exchanges, most of the other EXs have to take 2-hit KOs on each other. So yeah, I think this guy will see some play for sure.
And it's definitely going to be hard to one KO him when you're doing when he's got pretty much 120 health plus an EV light,
Yeah,
which
it
is
puts him at
really
140.
good for a basic.
Yep. So definitely good. Next up, Braviary. Yeah, we already. I mean, he's
Nice.
bad. We like
Yeah,
the picture because he's doing a barrel roll. That
it's
was
cool.
that was about the only good thing we had to say about him.
It's such a cool poke. I just don't
Yeah,
understand why they just make all the colorless Pokemon in general pretty bad.
yeah,
Like besides Buffalo, we've just been talking about, but in general, there's no real standout colorless
yeah.
Pokemon really
I mean,
at the
besides
moment.
like Tornadus, the runner-up would
Tornadoes.
be like what Wigglytuff or
Yeah,
Cincino. Cincino, I guess, is decent. Yeah, but special. I
there's
mean,
no real amazing ones.
yeah, especially Bravery's. I wish he was better, but
Such a cool looking thing, but yeah, it's pretty bad.
maybe in the next set we'll get a good one.
I doubt
Uh,
it, but hopefully.
so that'll do it for the Pokemon from Dragon, whichever one's first, Blast. Now we have the trainers, and our first one is Tool Scrapper, and it just lets you discard 2 tools in play when you play it down. So,
Really cool. I really
yeah,
like it a lot.
yeah, I think it's really good, especially with, I mean, Eviolite is big, Rocky Helmet is good, Experience Share, like it just wrecks that Terrakion deck that's out right now.
Yeah. If this
If
card was out right now, that Terrakion deck, every Eel Zekrom deck that's having trouble with Terrakion could take in a couple of these, and
Yep.
then that deck has nothing.
Yep.
So
And I think tools will still be a big part of the game when this sets out too, because we're actually getting more and more good ones. There's some good ones in this set, and there's a couple good ones in the dark set too. So I would expect to see this card get play in quite a few decks when the time comes.
depending on how the format shapes up, but yeah, if tool cards are as prominent as they look to be, this definitely could be used a lot.
Yeah, it'll just be another good trainer struggling to to find room in your deck. There's already
Yeah,
so many.
kind of like Plus Power has been through the formats.
Yeah,
If you can find room for it, could definitely help you out.
yep. And then next, after that, we have a large cloak, which is a Pokemon tool, and it just gives your Pokemon 20 extra HP. So, what do you think about it?
It's kind of cool, I guess. Same time, stage twos at the moment, at least, or stage ones or stage twos aren't really seeing any play. So it's pretty much just like a not quite as good Eviolite. And if everything that's doing any attacking is basic, there's no real point for it.
Yeah, yeah, just completely outclassed by a Violite.
If it does turn out that format's shaping into, you can use some more things other than basic. Definitely could be used. It's not a bad card, but at the moment, I couldn't see it being used at all.
Yeah, I can see the Dark decks using some evolution attackers, at least Zoroarks, because they'll have 2 really good Zoroarks once the next set's out. But
Yeah,
even with those, they only have 100, so this would boost them to 120, and that doesn't
but still
really,
getting carried
yeah,
by.
by
This thing
Zekrom
you're not
and
really avoiding any chaos, which is the reason I really run a whole lot of Eviolite because at the moment it doesn't avoid any important chaos.
yeah. So I don't think this one's gonna see a whole lot of play unless something drastic happens. And after that, we have our special energy for the set, the first of 2, Blend Energy. What do you think about it?
Yeah, well, it's just really nothing. It's half a rainbow, like you said,
Yeah,
and even with that, you have to put the 1 damage counter down. It's really not that great. Basic attackers are really prominent, like we said already. So why would you not want to use the Prism Energy if you're only attacking with basics at the moment?
yeah. This is just a complete wasted opportunity. I think Dragon Energy that worked as a double rainbow on dragons would have been way better than 2 completely useless special energies. Yeah, there's no point. If you need all the energy types, you're probably just going to run Rainbow, and if you're attacking with basics, you're just going to run Prism. So I don't understand why we even have this card. It just seems like wasted space to me.
Yeah, they definitely could have done more by bringing in some sort of twist on a Dragon Energy.
Yeah, maybe in the next set. I'll have to wait and
Yeah.
see. And that will bring us to our full art EXs. So we'll just real quick, pick which art version we like better, starting with Ho-Oh. Let's look at Ho-Oh here. Full art. Which one do you prefer?
I think I like the standard one a little bit more.
Back up to the standard.
It looks a little bit more offensive and kind of in your face. Yeah, and I like the art around the edges and just the art on the card in general besides the actual picture.
Yeah, I like the full art one better. I like the spread eagle thing going on, and I really like the crazy tie-dye background in the back with the rainbow.
And the full art one as well.
So I prefer the full art for Ho-Oh. How about Registeel?
I like them both about the same, I think. They're both for different reasons. I think the full art one's kind of cool and the background's cool, but at the same time, it's not really doing anything. So that's kind of why I like the regular one.
Yeah.
So, pretty even.
Here's the regular one. I like the regular one better. In this full art one, I don't know, just it's kind of bland to me. The regular art's definitely got some action. Looks like he's about to wind up for Mega Punch.
Yeah, looks pretty cool.
I like it better. And last but not least, Rayquaza.
Definitely like the normal one.
Yeah.
A lot better.
Me too.
Like we said last time we recorded this, the background looks like it was drawn in crayon.
Yeah.
It's not even like it's just a half-assed attempt at a flame.
Yeah.
I'm not a fan of full art of Rayquaza at all.
The weird Rayquaza lipstick is really prominent in the full art too, and I don't like that either.
Yeah.
So yeah, definitely, I agree on that one. I prefer the regular art a lot more than the full art version.
Definitely.
After that, we've got a couple shinies from previous sets. Ability Superior and the Crocodile that I think is from the Dark set. I'm pretty sure. So, I mean, not really. We don't need to talk about them because we already know what they do. So.
Yeah. And neither of them will see play.
Yep.
So
that'll bring us
the reason.
to Dragon Blast, the second half of the set, the one with Giratina, and our first card is going to be Yanmega.
Yanmega's not like a terrible card, but it's just very bland. Nothing really amazing about it. Don't see why you'd run it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I agree. Completely forgettable. It attacks for all colorless energies. I guess that's cool. And it retreats for free, but it can't really kill anything ever.
Yeah.
So
you're not going to be afraid of that. Whereas the normal Yanmega Prime can do the same 70 damage. However, you don't have to have any energy attached to it, which is where it can shine, and it can snipe, which I don't think this one can do. So.
No, it can't. Yeah. Okay, moving on. Beautifly.
I like its first attack, but it's a stage 2, so like we've said a lot of times throughout this, if it was a basic, could definitely see it being played. Could be used cool with a Ho-Oh deck, because you can search those 3 different energy types of basic energy out from your decks. So that could be really cool, but once again, why would you try and set up a stage 2 to help out your basics? So.
Yeah, it's a really great card, except for being a stage 2. That's the only thing that kills it, which is really a shame.
Which is a lot of cards at the moment.
Yeah, you're right. The first attack, triple energies, search your deck for 3 different basic energy cards and put them on your Pokemon any way you want, which would be just amazing if it was on a stage 1. And then Drain Shower, its second attack does 40 damage, and you heal 40 from everything on your bench. So that's cool. But yeah, stage 2, so you'll never get to use it.
It could be seen see some play, but it's definitely not going to be anywhere near stage 1 or even stage 2 deck, I don't think.
Yeah.
So tier 2, sorry. It's just not good enough. I like that they didn't at least give it the 90 HP of Jump Bluff.
Yeah, at least it's got 120.
But even then, it's still 120, which Buffland has if you factor in the ability. So.
Yep. Okay, moving along. First Roserade.
Yeah, nothing really. It's pretty much the same as Yanmega.
Yeah.
It's just a very bland card.
Very vanilla grass card. I don't think we need to say anything about it. It's terrible.
Yeah.
Okay, Ninetales then. This one, definitely.
It's really cool. Its ability acts pretty much like a catcher, which is cool, I guess. And like we've said, it can be used with. I keep forgetting the mushrooms.
Amoonguss. Yeah.
There we go. Could be used with the Mungus as pretty much just a better Leafeon than the one we have now. So that's the only reason it could be played in those sorts of decks, using things like a Mungus and Roserade. So
Yeah, I think this is a really strong card. I don't think it'll be tier 1, but I think it will be playable in its own deck.
yeah,
Along with Amoonguss, it's going to hit for 130 after poison damage, and so that kills Zekrom right out. Plus, it's got a built-in catcher when you evolve it, which is really great. You'll obviously run catchers as well, but this is a nice option if you can't draw into one. And then since De-Evolution Spray will be out as well, it means that both this and Amoonguss are a lot stronger, since you can use De-Evolution Spray and activate their abilities exactly when you need them. So
just gives a lot more options.
Yeah.
Not going to really help it out a ton, but it just gives you options when playing it.
Yeah. Yeah, I like this card a lot. I'm definitely going to try it out when the set's out.
It's a bit of a fun deck, but
and then,
at the same time, you're not going to be able to do a whole lot with it.
Yeah, on top of that, a lot of the EXs really don't like status. Somewhat,
especially the heavy ones.
Yeah, somewhat mitigated by Sky Arrow, because Rayquaza and Tornadus and Raikou will all retreat for free, so it won't affect them as much. But if any of the heavier ones see play, this will just destroy them.
Yeah,
which is nice. So
and just at least means that they have to switch out, and that might give you a chance to rebuild.
Yeah.
Whatever you've got going after you've taken an assault from a Rayquaza or a Mewtwo.
Yeah. Not to mention it guaranteed kill on eels with its ability. So definitely a good card. Next up, a not so good card, Wailord.
Yeah, it's Lightning Weak, 200 HP, which I think it's cool that they managed to bump up the HP.
Yeah.
It's a nice addition that they didn't decide, we'll just give it like 160 or something to be a little bit above the average, but I'd like that they bumped it up even above the EXs.
Yeah.
So it's cool, but Giant Wave, it does 80 damage and you can't use it next turn, which seems weird since it takes 4 energy anyway. I don't see the point of putting a drawback on that. It's really not that big a deal. Like, Mewtwo's got 170, and then for 4 energy, which are all colorless, you can still do that 80, so and it's a basic. So.
It's just handicapping the evolved guys even more. They're like, well, they're already not bad enough, so we need to make them suck more, just to make sure that people get the point that you're not actually supposed to use these cards. They're just filler.
I just don't understand the point of that. Like, there's just really absolutely no point whatsoever.
Yeah.
Something like a Rayquaza is not at all going to struggle with a Wailord.
Yeah. It's like,
and it can't even 2-hit KO, even if it could use that attack twice in a row, so what's the point?
Any card that you pull from this pack that is not Rayquaza is a waste of your money, basically, is what ends up happening.
Mostly, yeah.
So, and then his other attack is equally as bad. It's 50% chance to just do nothing. So, yeah.
It's an amazing attack.
Moving right along. Floatzel, I don't think we need to talk about.
Yep.
It's bad.
It's just another card that doesn't have any ability, so it's really not going to be that big of an upset.
They didn't even give him a free retreat like the one we have now, so...
They just, once again, have handicapped the card even more than it needed to be, so...
Seismitoad, same thing. It's bad.
Yep. Stage 2, slow, and its attacks aren't even that great.
Yeah, it doesn't even have good attacks. Same attack as the new Cincino, but that card is way better than this one, so there's no need to ever play it. Then we have Alomomola. I didn't do too bad that time. That was the closest I've ever been to saying that freaking thing's name correctly.
Big Love Disc.
Big Love Disc. What do you think
Big
about
Love
Big
Disc.
Love Disc?
Yeah, it's all right. But no, it's nothing amazing at all. Um, it's got an energy. I like its first attack. It's cool,
Yeah.
and it could help you maybe stall early game for a little bit if you need it. But same time, something like Clever is just better.
Yeah. Yeah. Just not very good. I mean,
Yep.
Mysterious Beam is okay. Flip a coin of heads, discard an energy, but there are better energy discarding things than
Exactly.
that. So, yeah. Okay. We'll skip ahead then to Ampharos.
Um, it's cool. I could see. Well, it's an alright card, I guess. The fact that it's a stage one, no, sorry, stage two means that once again it's not going to see any play. So,
Yeah.
yeah, like if its ability was able to activate from the bench, it would definitely be a lot more playable. But
Yeah.
the fact that you need it active and its attack is pretty bad.
Yeah.
So yeah, there's really no need to run it.
And it's weak to fighting too.
Exactly.
Terrakion kills
So
it. Yeah, the ability is Electromagnetic Wall, and basically, if it's active, every time your opponent attaches an energy from their hand, you get to do 30 damage to whatever they attach to, which is really cool. But
yeah,
it
like
has,
Absol.
yeah, it has to be active, which is killer. And then on top of that, a lot of things accelerate from the discard pile, so this would not even activate for them. So even if it was on like a basic, it still would not be that great of an ability. Had potential to be really good, and then it just wasn't.
If they did put it on a basic, at least it might see some play. But as a stage two with no real attack, there's really I just would much more like to have seen it be able to be played from the bench.
Yeah, yeah, that might have like if it was playable from the bench, it would at least be a fun deck to use. It still wouldn't
Yeah,
be good, but it'd be fun to mess around with. But as
just
it
have
is,
like Vile Plume,
yeah.
four of these things on the bench, and every time they put down an energy, they're doing like 120 damage.
uh, um, cool picture though. I like the card art's really cool. Looks like he's
Yeah, the card
dancing.
art's cool.
But okay, next our first EX for this half of the set, Mew EX. What do you think about it?
It's good. Catcher really makes me think that it's not that good anyway. Like it's a cool card, but I don't think it's going to be super useful because simply because of Catcher. The current Mew at least puts them in the lost zone where they're safe.
Yeah,
With Mew EX, they're on the bench where if you are using anything which has like a big attack, most of those things will have the high retreat cost because they are stage twos. So they'll just get captured out, and then there's not really a whole lot you can do.
yeah. Mew. This is Mew EX is almost exactly the same as the old Mew EX we had. Just a little bit different, more HP, obviously, but its ability is the same. Versatile. It reads, this Pokemon can use the attacks of all Pokemon in play as its own, but you still need the energy to pay for them. So the Mew EX deck was actually really good back in the day because you could put cool stuff on your bench and then just use all the attacks. Uh, but Catcher wasn't in the format then, and that kind of, like you said, just ruins the point because they're not safe on the bench, and on top of that, you can't take the time to evolve things because they'll
So
just
by the
die
time you
before they
evolved
evolve.
all your attackers, they're four prizes ahead.
Yeah.
And if they can KO one of your Mews, they win the game. So it's like, yo, I'm ready to attack now. Wait, you're like already 3/4 of the way to the finish line.
Yeah.
I can't keep up.
It's too bad. I love Mew, but I don't think he's going to be very good this time around unless something changes or someone figures out how to use him well. So,
There definitely will be some cool decks with him, I think, but none that are super playable.
after Mew, we have Dustox.
I like its first attack.
Yeah.
It's really cool, and like we were saying with Ninetales, this thing is good-ish, but once again, it's a stage two. If it was a basic and it had that first attack, maybe with some more energy, or just they still came up with some way to handicap it a bit, definitely could be a lot more playable. But at the stage 2, it's really not that great. And yeah, at least they do give it 130 HP, so it's not a bad card, but it just really isn't super playable.
Yeah, I like the first attack a lot too. The defending Pokemon is now asleep, burned, and poisoned. I maybe if Mew Prime is still in the rotation, this would be a good see off target. Uh,
Yeah,
that's about all I can think of though.
definitely.
I
That'd
did,
be really, really good, actually,
yeah,
with all the EXs.
yeah. I definitely like the first attack, but he's just not worth trying to get him into play for that. So, uh, okay. Next up is Drifblim.
Um, I like its first attack.
Yep.
That's cool, especially with things like Sage and Juniper. If you can get a lot of special energy in the discard, you can be doing a lot of damage. Sorry, not with Sage and Juniper, with things like Loss Remover. But at the same time, if they see this thing, they're just not going to play special energy like you do with Scizor. So
Yeah. Right. We mentioned before there's a card coming out in the dark set that is like Crushing Hammer or like Lost Remover, except it puts the energy in the discard pile instead of the Lost Zone, which normally is just worse than Lost Remover. But if you really wanted to try and make a Drifblim deck, that could help you. His first attack, Shadow Steel, does 50 damage times the number of special energy in your opponent's discard pile. So, you can, and it only costs a single colorless, so could hit for 100 or even 150 for one. Um, Possibly more than that if they play like a ton of Prism energies as well. But just kind of hard to get to work, I think.
yeah.
Um,
Sorry, yeah, I jumped around a little bit. I was thinking about what we already talked about. But yeah, I was like, woo, use that card that we haven't even talked about yet. But yeah, it could be cool. It could be see a little bit of use. It definitely has the potential to want to KO things.
yeah.
Like EXs and special energies are pretty prominent at the moment. It really depends.
The main thing against it is that Rayquaza probably won't use special energies because it'll accelerate with electric most likely. So might be hard. And then his other attack isn't bad either. Damage surge lets you just put 4 damage counters however you want. So sniping attack for 40 basically is decent. Yeah,
Yeah, it's not bad at
Drifblim.
all.
We'll have to see. I don't expect a whole lot, but at the same time, it's more playable than a lot of the cards we've looked at. So
I definitely would have liked to see this if it was released with Next Destinies.
yeah,
It could see a lot more use than it probably will when it's released with Rayquaza.
yeah. Speaking of, next
Yeah.
up is Sigilyph, a very interesting card. This is the first Pokemon that has the ability Safeguard, which was in the old EX sets. It does exactly the same thing as it did then. Any Pokemon with Safeguard, you can prevent all effects of attack, including damage, done to them by EX cards. So Sigilyph can't be touched by any EX card. What do you think about it?
It's cool, but like we just said about Drifblim, if this were released in Next Destinies, it'd be pretty much the ultimate Mewtwo counter. But as it stands, Rayquaza discards all the energy attacks with anyway, so if you can bring this thing in, you're not going to be doing a whole lot of damage, and then it retreats for free while you bring in a normal attacker to just take it out in one shot.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, I'm more hopeful just because they brought Safeguard back, so that means hopefully we'll get more Safeguard Pokemon in future sets that might be a little bit better than this guy.
yeah,
At least he's basic. He does have that going for him. Makes him techable. He only needs 1 psychic energy. That's not too bad, and since he's basic, he can use Prism and stuff like that. So
Yeah.
possible tech if EXs are just absolutely running rampant, I think he'll get some play. But with only 90 HP, it's going to be pretty easy to work around him. I would expect electric decks to still run at least 1 Zekrom. possibly Thunderous still too, which both can take this guy out pretty easily. So as for
Especially with if you got Rayquaza only active, and then you're like, oh, Sigilif pops up, which still needs a couple turns to power up at least.
yeah,
And then you just start to build up a Zekrom and second this thing. And then you can probably usually catch this out before it manages to get all the energy on it needs anyway.
yeah, and then if that wasn't bad enough, we also have the Dark set in between, and that means Dark's going to be a lot more powerful, and they all resist him. And I don't think the Dark deck's going to use completely EX attackers either, most likely, so it'll be really easy for them to kill him as well.
Yeah,
So,
Darkrai's attack really isn't that strong. The ability's cool, but
yeah.
I think that it's going to be mostly normal attackers.
His attack, though, is you can boost it by Special Dark, which is cool. And they got that Dark Fang, which boosts all their attacks by 20, so it can get charged up pretty fast.
All the trainers and items they released with the Dark set really make Dark a lot more dangerous than it is now.
So, anyhow, that is not this set.
That's another set.
Maybe we'll have to do another one about the Dark set before it comes out.
Yeah.
But moving on past our friend Sigilif, we have a very cool card. My boy Garbodor, the Pokemon that parties so hard he's vomited his own face off. That was my first impression when I saw his sprite for 5th gen, and I've liked him ever since then. So Garbodor has an ability Dust Toxin. As long as you have a Pokemon tool attached to him, you can ignore all Pokemon abilities printed on any cards, and that includes cards in the hand, interestingly, since we don't have any abilities that activate from the hand yet, and in the discard pile, meaning that he blocks Ho-Oh as well.
Hello. Okay. Yeah. So I think it's really cool. It could be played with things like Crushing Hammer and Lost Remover. If you can get this thing down and then Crushing Hammer those energies back in the discard pile while stopping Electric from being able to reach them, it can pretty much stop your opponent right then. Things like Rayquaza, once they attack, they get all that energy in the discard pile, so once all that energy is in the discard and then you can't get it back with Electric, you could get really stuck, especially late game. But the fact that, once again, he's a stage 1, which isn't as slow, but once you see that Trubbish, that's probably going to become your priority. And if you can take that thing out with Catcher, then you're really not going to have too much trouble.
Yeah, I think this might be a good reason to play Collector still, if it's still in the format. It's going to come back to that whole thing, the same thing that was with Oddish back when Trainer Lock decks were still alive, where you have to bench 2 of them. Because you're just going to expect that one is going to get killed. But if you do manage to get this guy up, I think it can be super disruptive, especially against those Eel decks, which we're both expecting will still be around, especially because of Rayquaza. I see this guy being a really great play in the Dark deck, since the Dark decks are going to be accelerating energy via trainer cards instead of Poke Powers, and that means they'll still be able to get their energy going while your opponent can't. The one thing it'll stop Darkrai's power from working, but might be worth it if you just basically shut down your opponent's deck completely with it. So, yeah, I think this guy we're going to see a lot of Garbodor decks pop up when the set's out. We'll have to wait and see how many of them actually stick around.
Yeah, it's really similar to Vileplume in the way I think he's going to play out.
Yep.
Just once it hits, everything stops until you can manage to take him out.
One of the things, though, is that his ability isn't automatic. You have to have a tool attached to it, so that wrench thing, I forget what it was called, kind of hurts him, because you can just play the wrench and discard whatever tool you have attached to him and then continue with your business. So
Tool Scrapper.
That one.
That's it.
That would have, it would have been a lot better if he didn't have that little caveat to his power. But still, I think he's got potential.
once again, I'm sure they were like, oh, how can we release such a good card? Require
That's
the
not a
most struggle.
that's not a
Better make sure
basic.
that we release a card to handicap him.
Yeah. Okay. Next, Claydol. Bad.
Yeah, pretty much. Yep, just
That-
bad.
Yep. And then we have Stunfisk, the man, the legend, Stunfisk.
Garbodor's like brother in
Yeah.
ugliness.
Yes.
Yeah, its picture, like we said, looks like it's being getting like rocks thrown at
Yes.
it by little kids, which is definitely a possibility. I
Yep.
think.
Uh.
But yeah, its attacks are pretty nothing.
Yeah.
And seeing him, so
It's terrible. We just just look at it. Look at its face, everyone. Look now. Yeah. Okay.
4 Stunfisk, 4 Terrakion. That's
Done.
what I'm running.
Yep. You forgot Bidoof. You can't leave
And
Bidoof out. Yep.
Bidoof also needs to be included in that
Yeah.
part in the partnership between Garbodor and Stunfisk.
Stunfisk. Okay, next. Real card. Terrakion EX. A very interesting card. What do you think about it?
Yeah, I don't dislike. Oh, I like it. It's good. It only does 90 damage at most, which might struggle to take a lot of KOs against those EXs. But it's the secondary effect. It's really, really good. It allows you to energy accelerate, which could definitely help you build up other Terrakions for the revenge KO or other EXs. So there's a lot of options with it. Until people start to figure out really what works best, you can't really guess. But definitely there's a lot of options that are available to be played with it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like it a lot. And like we said last time before it got lost, it's really going to depend on the shape of the metagame. In the same way that Terrakion, the regular Terrakion is working now, like the regular Terrakion is a good card, definitely, but it's just been propelled to be so much better than it would be normally because of the other decks that are being played. 80% of the decks that get played at tournaments are electric type, and it just makes Terrakion so good. And in the coming set, we have dark types gaining a huge boost, and they're all going to be weak to fighting. So I think by the time this guy comes out, I think fighting is going to be a really good type to have. And so I think he could be really great, a lot better than the card actually is just by itself, just made better because of the metagame around it.
Yeah, I could definitely see a deck something like this and Sigilif, because this can take out those things like just normal Zekrom
Yeah,
that you might struggle with, and then Sigilif can just handle the EXs.
yeah.
So just any combination really you can chuck together with this card
Yeah. And
build an anti-meta deck.
like you mentioned too, he helps charge up the regular Terrakion with his attacks, so that getting that revenge off is a lot easier than it is right now. So yeah, we'll have to wait and see. But this card could be really big, or it could just kind of fade into mediocrity, just depending
Sit
on.
with Stunfisk.
Yeah, maybe not quite as bad as Stunfisk. Just a little bit better.
Maybe just a little bit, but I'm still going to be playing Stunfisk.
All right. And that's gonna do it for fighting. We have one dark in this set, Murkrow. Honchkrow, I guess, is the final form.
Yeah. Yeah, it's alright. I do like its second attack. Really cool. It works just like Weavile, I think it is. When you play it down from your hand, you can discard any card from your opponent's hand, but this is without looking.
Yeah.
So it's not quite as good, but if you can get lucky, I guess could work out. It probably would have been. It's going to be much better if there start to be a lot more stage 2 decks. So you see it basic go down, attack with this thing, and hopefully you'll discard a rare candy or an evolved form.
Yeah. It also, it hits multiple turns if you live that long, which with a lightning weakness probably is not going to happen.
Yeah.
But if you manage to survive, you can use it again the next turn and discard another card. And also, if you're good at reading your opponent, you don't need to see their hand. You just pick the card they obviously don't want you to pick, or figure out how they hold their cards in their hand.
They like
Just,
hide it under their deck.
yeah.
Hide it under the bench. Don't pick that. I want the one under the bench.
If you figure out they keep all their energy on the right and then all their Pokemon on the left in like ascending order of evolution, you can just be like, that one.
Yeah, I was playing today, and someone was using Weavile on me, and I'm literally there on my computer saying, like, don't pick Juniper, don't pick Juniper, and the Juniper goes to the discard. I'm like, no! And then literally next turn, I top deck a Juniper. And
nice.
I was like, wow. And it just, like, rage. It was fun.
Plus, he's a Dark type, which, like we mentioned, Dark's getting a huge boost the next set, so that instantly makes him a little bit more playable. So we'll have to see. He resists fighting. That's cool. And the retreat cost isn't as big a deal with Darkrai in play, since he will be able to retreat for free. So yeah, think he might be decent. We'll have to see.
Yeah, definitely good for disruption. So depends what sort of deck you're trying to build, I guess.
And that's gonna do it for Dark. Next up is Steel, with Aggron striking a very sexy pose, if I may say so, on that card. Look at that come hither stare he's giving you.
No, that's hard. Okay, so we've got Down the Mountain.
Yes.
Ability.
Yes.
So when you play this Pokemon from your hand to evolve, you may use this ability and it discards the top 3 cards from your opponent's deck. Not a bad ability, but it's a stage 2. So if it was the stage 1, definitely could see some play in Durant decks. Could definitely speed that up, or just in any deck, it might see a little bit of play, but as a stage 2, way too slow, even with de-evolution spray.
Yeah.
Just way too slow.
Yep. And then there's also the matter of his attack.
It's being terrible.
Yeah. Flip 2 coins.
Flip T.
Yeah. If they're both tails, you don't do any damage.
It's just...
Yeah,
why?
again, just
There's
another
no need.
completely needless handicap for evolution.
This in Whale Lord, this is like, to make sure it doesn't, like, destroy... Like, we need everyone to just be using EXs. What if someone decides to go for just in a full Aggron deck? No. We're going to put in a handicap Aggron. It's too good.
Yeah, like, with that drawback, that attack should be doing, like, 150 or something.
Exactly.
But, yeah, poor Aggron. At least he's got his looks going for him, yeah.
Yeah.
The new Durant is not worth talking about. It's awful.
Yep.
And so that'll bring us to this half's Dragon EX, Giratina EX.
Not great at all.
Yeah.
It does 90 for Grass, a Psychic, and a Colorless, and then it's not affected by any resistances. Any effects on the opponent's Pokemon, and then it does 130, and you discard the top 3 cards from your deck. So it's just, I don't understand the point of the discard. Once again, it seems like an unnecessary handicap. 130 for 4, and you have to use 2 different energy requirements. Really, it's not just the 2 different energy requirements. It's enough of a drawback as it is.
Yeah.
And at least in Rayquaza, you've got 2 of the best energy accelerators in the entire format at the moment working for it, whereas this thing, Grass, might get powered up by Celebi, but at the same time, it's really not going to see any play at all. Well, not the card, but just Grass in general. Grass decks aren't going to see much play at all.
And even on top of that, you still have to get that Psychic on there somehow too. So there's no chance for a turn 1 attack, which is kind of what Celebi does. I don't understand the Dragon Pulse thing. At least make it do 150. Reshiram and Zekrom get to do 150, and their downsides are much more manageable than this one. And this one's energy is just way more awkward to get going, and the drawback is worse. On top of that, he's fat. He's got a 3 retreat cost, so not a good card.
Just kind of seems like sometimes they make cards unnecessarily bad when they have some potential, and they just don't think it through.
Yeah.
Like, they have to know how good eels are. Like, they have to be like, we've got two of the best energy sources going on Rayquaza and two of the worst going on Giratina.
Yeah. Yeah. The only good thing I can say is that it one-shots Rayquaza.
But so does Rayquaza.
Yeah,
so.
Exactly. So does Rayquaza.
If it wasn't an EX, that would definitely be a talking point. But
Yeah.
the fact that you're still risking that 2 prize card,
Or even if
it has
it
to be put in the same league as Rayquaza.
if it just needed grass and colorless, that'd make it way better too. But
Yep.
yeah, not gonna see a whole lot of play, I don't think. And our next dragon is Hydreigon.
Okay, so we've got Hydreigon's ability, Dark Trance. As often as you like during your turn, you may move a Darkness energy attached to one of your Pokemon to another, so like Klinklank, but for Dark Pokemon.
Yeah.
And then its attack, you do for a Psychic, 2 Dark and a Colorless, you do 140, and then you have to discard 2 Dark energies. So, its attack isn't great at all. The fact that once again it's got the 2 different energy requirements mean that it's just going to be a lot worse. Stage 2 means it's too slow, it's got too big of a retreat cost, and Dark Trance isn't good enough for it to see much play.
Yeah. Yep. I agree. Just bad. I don't know why they like these move the energy abilities so much. I think they're pointless.
Yep.
With Klinklang and Meganium Prime, like, no one wants to move the energy constantly. Like,
and you've got Shaman if you just need, it's so much faster.
Right, it's faster and it's better because it lets you move all the energies however you want.
Exactly.
These are like, oh, you get to move one type and it's not DCE, which is the only one you care about anyhow. So, the attack's got some nice damage, but that's it. It can't even be boosted by Dark type because it's actually Dragon. So special Darks won't power it up.
So it really can't even see play in a Dark deck because it's just not Dark.
Yeah.
So it's just really not going to see any play at all in any deck.
Nope. So
which is unfortunate because it looks cool.
Yeah, it's a cool picture. Anyhow, let's see. Ampibomb, I don't think we even need to mention.
Nope.
And Bibarel.
The beast himself.
Our good friend Bibarel. Look how happy he is to be showing up again.
Yeah. Once again, it's pretty much Stunfisk, but it has to evolve, making it less playable than Stunfisk.
Yes. On top of that, his big attack is 60 for 4, which is terrible to begin with. And he falls asleep afterwards. So it's just...
It's like 60 damage, okay, 4 energy, and then you just like 60 damage. Time for a nap.
Yep.
Rayquaza is there doing 120 plus easy.
Yep. His signature attack is that he overexerts himself. So that's cool. Way to be awesome, Bibarel. Just doesn't give a fuck. He sleeps when he wants to.
It's like, I'm in the active position. Yeah. I don't want to be in the active position. I want to be on the bench. Give me an ability.
And then to follow that up, we have the Audino with Alarm Beam for 40 damage and heal all special conditions from the defending Pokemon. Not from you. From the defending Pokemon. Yes.
Rayquaza's just like, what? Oh, I want Alarm Beam. That's what I want.
Yeah.
Well,
what? I don't understand why this is a thing.
Unless they're like going to be in the next set some sort of poke that sits on the bench, and every time your opponent heals themselves of like special conditions, it does damage.
It better do a lot of damage. It better be like if you heal this.
At least.
Yeah, at least. But I don't know. I don't understand. Maybe.
I'm not, really cool though.
Not gonna give them. Yeah.
What's that card that was doing? Did Confused, Burned, and
Dustox. Dustox.
You got Dustox. You got our Mystic Pokemon we just created.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess. I think Amoonguss would work better though because you don't have to attack to get the status on there.
Yeah.
Dustox has to use it as an attack.
You've got to just write them with all these like what awesome ideas for
Yeah.
cards we're having. Like, you released a terrible card. Let us fix
No,
it
we're
for you.
fixing it.
Yeah.
That'd be great. Just post our own battles with our own made up cards. We
Yeah,
have to
just
draw the
like draw
card.
one,
Yeah, draw the
like
card art for them.
break out the crayon, then like draw another Rayquaza background.
Yeah. Good times. Maybe, maybe I'll have to do that for like my 500 sub special.
Yeah.
We can make our own
Just have, like, our
custom
own cards
decks.
created.
All right.
Get art and paint.
Yeah. Anyhow, next, de-evolution spray. This card definitely warrants some talking about. Choose one of your evolved Pokemon, then remove the top evolution card from that Pokemon and put it into your hand. So, just lets you pick up the top form. Basically, you can use it with any card that has a power that activates when you evolve it, but not after that. It lets you reuse that power.
It's really cool.
Yeah.
I really, really like this a lot. There's tons of pokes at the moment that can really abuse this. Among Us, Ninetales, Weavile, just to name a few, and it can definitely make those cards a lot better than they are now.
Shiftry as well.
Yeah,
Becomes
but this is a stage 2, so
yeah.
I tend to ignore stage 2s.
And it goes from
flip.
like absolutely unplayable to works as a gimmick deck at least.
Yeah, exactly.
So
If you can pull it off like that a couple times per match and just put their poke which they've been building up
yeah,
back in the bench and watch them just cry.
yeah.
But yeah,
And there's another card that we'll get to later that this is going to be an awesome combo with, but I won't ruin the surprise till we get to it. But I think this might again, it's another great trainer that you're going to have to try and squeeze into your deck if you want it. And
yeah.
this will probably be like a 61st card, a card you'd like to have but just don't have the room for. Unless you're using the Ninetales deck. Obviously, it'll be a big card there, but
It could possibly turn those gimmick decks into actual playable decks, but I still doubt that they're going to be able to compete anywhere near the level that Rayquaza is. So.
yeah, we'll have to wait and see. But it's a good card, and it's got plenty of potential and potential to be good in future sets too, because there's always cards coming into play that might benefit from it. So,
I really like it with Weavile a lot.
Yeah.
Those new dark decks that are coming out.
Yeah.
Anyway, so next one, I guess.
Yeah, Rescue Scarf. This is a tool that works like a Rescue Energy, except it's an item. So.
That's pretty much it. Yeah, it's really not too great. It's just pretty much an alternative to running energy. If you don't want to miss that energy drop that turn, you can attach to this instead. And that's just about it. So it's just going to be a choice, which a lot of the time Rescue Energy might be better, but it depends what sort of deck you're running. It depends a lot. It's just pretty much a choice to you, and it's not really going to do anything.
Yeah, there's already a lot of cards that do kind of the same thing. Like we've got Revive, and Super Rod kind of works. Oh, not as well, and then Rescue Energy, obviously. So, I think if you're using Rescue Energy, it's to get around Trainer Lock, which this doesn't help with. So, I think it will be nice because you don't have to miss the energy drop to do it. But most people that are using Rescue Energies are using it for a reason, and I don't think they'd switch to this even when it comes out. So that's
not that Rescue Energy is being used a lot anyway.
Yeah, so. And that's actually assuming that Rescue Energy is still in the set, because we don't
know
what's happening.
They get rotated out.
Yep, we don't know when rotation's happening, so or if it's going to. So might be, if Rescue Energy obviously is not in the set, it'll be a lot better. But I'll have to wait and see. And then we have the second Blend Energy. I don't think we need to say anything about it, do we?
No.
Yeah, it's just the other types that weren't in the first one.
And yeah, it's not really going to do anything. It's just another half-assed attempt at Dragon, which I don't understand why they didn't put it in. So.
Yeah, and that'll bring us to the full art EXs. So for Mew Prime, which art do you like better?
Probably the standard one.
Mm-hmm.
The first one, the full art one, it's alright. The background is kind of cool. But yeah, definitely I like the standard one, I think.
Yeah, I like the standard one a lot better than the full art one. Actually, I just really like the pose in the standard one. I love the face and that he's like reaching out to you with the tail whipping around. Just the full art one's decent enough, but I just really like the regular one. So definitely agree there. Terrakion.
I think I like to have a look at the other Drakion, but I think I like the normal one. I mean, sorry, the full art one.
Mm.
Yeah, the regular Drakeon's pretty cool. It's got like I think it's the one throwing the stones
At the Stunfisk.
Stunfisk, and then when it turns to full art, it's now stepping on the Stunfisk.
Yeah.
It's just beating up. It's like, why do you have to be my type?
Maybe it's stepping on Bibarel.
Yeah,
But
I think I like the full art a little bit better.
yeah, I agree. I like the full art better. He means business. He's obviously pissed, and yeah, he's about to squish something between that
Angry
under that
bird.
massive hoof. I like the full art. The regular full art we have now is still my absolute favorite. He just looks so badass in that picture. But
It's awesome.
as far as these two go, I like the full art one better. And then last but not least, Giratina.
I like the full art picture better,
Uh-huh.
but as far as the whole card goes, I like the standard one because of just the way the text's being ripped apart, and I think that's just a really cool feature that I should probably add in a lot more often than they do.
Yep. Yeah.
Um,
I agree. I didn't even notice the text until you pointed it out to me, but it's like being ripped into the distortion world, which is really cool. So I like it just for that. I think it's a really cool little Easter egg, I guess, in the card that pays homage to the DS games. With the full art one, I like the upper body with the claw wings coming around, but looking at it again now, his bottom half looks so fat and like pudgy. I just
Does.
noticed that he's got like a big fatty fat legs down there.
Face looks mad derp.
Yeah. So I definitely like the regular one better. Yeah, he looks happy in the full art one too. He's like smiling. He's like smiling and prancing on his big fat legs through the
Yeah.
distortion zone. So definitely.
I'm not going to be doing anything, at least for the time being. I'm going to sit there and smile and look dead.
It's kind of like the special ed student. Someone just needs to pat him on the head and tell him that
Yeah,
he's good
exactly.
too. You know, don't measure yourself by Rayquaza standards. You're special too, Giratina. He's like,
Look, I can really care, Rayquaza. I can.
he just needs like a little dollop of drool running out of the corner of his mouth, and it'd be perfect.
Definitely.
And then we've got shiny Reuniclus and shiny Rayquaza, and that Rayquaza is actually from the little mini set that came out in Japan before this full Dragon set. Had like 20 cards, I think. All of them terrible. So
I don't dislike this Rayquaza. I know it's not released in this set, but I haven't actually seen it before. I like the fact that it can 1-8 It's pretty much the only semi-playable dragon that can 1-8 Rayquaza EX. So
yeah, if you were already running it in a Rayquaza deck, it would fit just because it takes the same energy requirements.
I think this is probably going to be the play for Rayquaza EX decks that are looking for a way to take those prizes against other Rayquaza EXs, and it can also get around Sigilif. So
Yeah, Oko's Sigilif. The first attack, actually, Oko's Tynamos. Any
Yeah.
Tynamo. So
and
that's
it's just
good.
for the one lightning,
Yeah.
which there's going to be a ton of if you're running a Neil deck. So
The drawback, though, is pretty bad. That you have to discard the top two cards of your deck. Could
bad, but if you get energy, that's going to really
right,
help you
you know,
out.
if you hit lightning energy, it's fine. So it's mitigated somewhat.
And definitely if you can get the research record off. Not that there's not really any room, but
Yeah.
it could be cool for just getting that in the discard.
And then
Yeah, I like it.
Then we have some cards from, I guess, the theme decks, and these are cards that aren't in the regular sets. So there's a couple special ones, and the first one is really the best one from these decks, and that's Roserade. has the ability Le Parfum, which I believe is supposed to be Le Perfume. I don't know how to say perfume in French. I thought it was perfume. Like, that sounds like a French word, but maybe it's parfum. Le Parfum. And
Fancy Roserade.
what happens is when you evolve it from your hand, you get to search your deck for any card you want, and that's it. So
Awesome.
yeah, awesome ability.
I really like that, especially with this is the card we're talking about. Could definitely be used a lot with de-evolution spray. It's not amazing, but I like it because even if you are running the maximum of 4 de-evolution sprays, you can usually probably only going to manage to get that off a little bit more than 4 times in a match if you're lucky. But yeah, I like it. I think it's cool. And if you got it on the bench and then can manage to get the de-evolution spray off, if you just are in need of a card, then you can go searching for whatever you need.
Yeah.
Which can definitely win you matches.
Yeah, I think this can be a huge clutch card. Like, if you have the ability to get it into play and you just need whatever that one card is to stay in the game or to win the game, it lets you get that catcher that you need to take your last prize, or if you're behind, you guarantee that you get the N to, disrupt your opponent.
And then if you get a junk arm with that N, if you've got enough cards, you can manage to pull a junk arm, then you can junk arm out for another de-evolution spray, and then get yourself Juniper or whatever draw support you need, and then you're at 6 and they're stuck at their 2-card hand.
Yeah. Yep. I think it's really good Poké Power, and I would not be surprised to see this card pop up in decks. Just maybe even as like a 1/1 line. You could invest more heavily if you wanted to guarantee and then put the de-evolution sprays in as well. But even just having that one to be able to get that card you need exactly when you need it might work. So we'll have to see. But definitely probably the best card to use with de-evolution spray. Outside of building a deck around it. This one kind of fits into whatever deck. And let's see, who else do we have? Houndoom, I don't think we need to talk about. He's got a cool picture, but that's about it.
Yeah. Next few cards are just a little bit nothing.
Same Hydreigon. We have a second Hydreigon. It's not very good.
Yeah, it's just really, really nothing, and especially as being a nothing stage 2 card means it's really, really bad. So
yeah, I'm not even going to bother talking about it. After that, we have Ultra Ball, which is actually in the Dark set, but we haven't looked at that yet, so we'll talk about it real quickly. Ultra Ball is a great card. Just basically, you discard 2 cards from your hand and search your deck for any Pokemon you want, so it's great.
Kind of like a junk arm, but then mixed in with just a full junk arm. I really like it. I think it's going to be awesome, and it's probably better than Pokemon communication. Yeah. So I like it.
After that, Rare Candy, we have nothing new, and then in the Garchomp deck, we have a Gyarados, which is really bad, as most of them are. It's got 130 HP, which is nice, but its attacks are just way too expensive to ever be useful.
So cool. I love Gyarados. But, yeah, I don't understand why they can't do something cool with Gyarados. Yeah. Especially this being a dragon pack, and Gyarados is pretty much the most dragon card that's not actually got the dragon typing. So
yeah, him and Charizard.
Yeah. It'd be cool if they decided to put him as a dragon.
Yeah, they could do, and they could bring who knows, maybe they'll bring Delta species back. That was the second half of the last EX set. They just kind of said to hell with types and just started giving things whatever type they wanted, which was really cool.
Yeah, I really like that.
So maybe we'll see a Dragon Gyarados one day.
So cool.
Manectric, I don't think we need to waste any time on.
Yep.
And then Gabite. We should just mention him real quick since he has an ability. Dragon Call.
Pretty much the dragon form of Sunflora.
Yep.
If you're familiar with that. you can, for one, search one dragon type Pokemon from your deck and then put it into your hand. So it's cool. But at the same time, Sunflora was never that great, mostly because grass type decks aren't that great. Neither a dragon. It appears dragon types aren't going to be that good, and Gabite would only really be good if there were a lot of stage 2s that need a lot of help setting up, and just using a dual ball to get that yourself that Rayquaza that you need for that deck really isn't going to be needed. So I just think it's cool, but it's not going to see any play.
Yeah. Every dragon that isn't named Rayquaza and possibly Altaria is garbage. So that makes Gabite garbage. That's basically what happened. Maybe in the future, if we get good dragon cards, he has potential. Latent, but he could be good one day, but he will not be immediately.
And pretty much that Roserade that we're just talking about's almost a better version of him in every way.
Yep.
Because you can search out whatever card you need, and decks really don't need that much help building up now. So
yeah, and then we have Garchomp. I think this is the last card we actually need to talk about. Yeah, it's bad. The other one's actually better. The one in the regular set is way better.
Is it an achievement?
Yeah. Yeah.
Sunfisk's better.
Pretty much.
It's a
basic.
It's
a basic.
It is.
Yeah, I'd agree. It's a basic. It's got
basic. Yeah. It doesn't have a different energy requirement.
Yep. And that's gonna do it. That's all the cards. So we talked for another hour. I hope you guys listened to all of it. If you did, congratulations. Really happy with all the responses we got from the first one. Ton of responses. So thanks for your input. Feel free to leave comments here. Tell us what you thought about the cards. I'm sure we'll both be checking out the comments. So I try to reply to the interesting ones at least. And maybe we'll do this with the dark set too. Work backwards, and sometime before May when that comes out, we can talk about that. So.
Yep. Cool. Okay.
Yep. Thanks for joining us. We'll catch you guys later.
See you guys.